just popped my head round the window of the commentary box to have a quick look for some of the drivers on our dummy grid. It does look like most of them have elected to go on the slick tyres. I thought it would just be a few towards the tail end of the field on slicks, but it looks like it's most of them. I thought there would just be one or two throwing the dice, but looks like everyone's been watching. I saw a few junior drivers, they'd come and watch a few laps, then they'd run off again. I think they were telling people to bolt some slicks on. It's going to be Lewis Goff then off pole position with his 2 heat victories to Ollie Wise's 1. And they'll line up on the front row. Kasper Tomilewski, champion-elect, goes off P3 with Ben Horner alongside Callum Foster and Harry Hurst-Grover on row number 3 in front of Ollie Naylor and Christian Stefanoff, with Amelie Ackitts and Marcel Poppercull rounding out the top 10. Then it's Rhys Owen in 11th, Emily Cooper in P12 with James Kell and Archie Dyson on row number 7. Ellis Garrett and James Waring are on row 8. Martin Wright and Jack Dimbleby on row number 9. Then it's going to be Harrison Bishop and Miles Roby rounding out the top 20. Sam Stoner and Archie Carter on row 11. Molly Pugh and Kieran Thompson on row number 12 in front of Harrison Purnell and Jacob Anslow. Jason Duckis and Joshua Jarvis. Ethan Bath and Ewan Stevenson round out the top 30 and your junior Rotax grid. Now, on this camera angle we've got here, that's going to be Lewis Goff on the left, Amy Peacock giving us a wave on the right hand side there, and then just on the right there, just next to our medic, I'm guessing is probably the most nervous person in the paddock at the moment, because that is Kasper Tomilewski's mum. All he's got to do is get to the checkered flag in this one, inside the top 20, and he will be the 2023 champion in junior Rotax here in the Junior Kart Championship. Field just getting themselves ready. A few tyre pressure changes being done down there on the dummy grid, just to make sure that everything is good. Now, our drivers raced yesterday in slick weather conditions, but on a track that was considerably warmer and hadn't had a day's worth of rain on it to clean the surface up. So this is going to be very, very interesting, in particular for those drivers at the front, because A, they're going to be the first drivers to experience each corner at racing conditions, and B, they're going to have around about 28 other karts behind them who are also experiencing things for the first time, and that's going to potentially catch one or two out. Now, just looking, there looks like to be a bit of a gap on the grid in around about P9 of our junior Rotax, and it could just be that the eyes are deceiving, but looking at junior Rotax at the moment, there looks to be a bit of a grid slot position. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 drivers down there. So looking at junior Rotax P9 should be Amelie Ackitts in the 11. She is there. It looks like there could be 1 or 2 places just in front where we've got Ollie Naylor as well. So it could well just be that how they're positioned, and they're just bunched up a little bit tighter than being sat in their individual grid berths before they roll out into position, but certainly looked a little bit deceiving as to who was where. The wind's still in the background, you can see still going, and the BKC flags in the middle of the track are blowing a hoolie as the field rolls out for this junior Rotax final. Got one driver struggling to get out. Ben Horner's kart is not moving. We've got a couple of people just rushing over to try and assist Ben Horner's dad, and the kart does indeed roll out. Now, will he be able to get round and retake his position? Ben Horner off the second row, going off P4, is going to struggle to get round and get himself into position here in junior Rotax. It's going to be a big effort for him to get round. I think he's going to have to catch up and just sit on the back here, because by the time he gets round, he's going to be beyond Marshall post 5. We've got a driver off as well, rolling is that 55 of Miles Roby off the track. Not sure we're going to get this one going. We've got Kieran Thompson rolling into the pit lane. I'd be very surprised if this one gets going at the first time of asking, with karts being off track. And we've got a red flag, or we've got a red flag. Red flag is out, and this one will be stopped. That's going to be, that will allow Ben Horner to retake his position. But we've got a red flag. Driver off on the rolling up lap on the far side of the track has come into contact with what looks like the barrier. And so driver seems to be out of the kart, which is good. Miles Roby, I think, was the driver in the 55, but the red flag is out. And there is the kart. Roby just having a quick chat with one of the marshals, but with that kart being in the position that it is, we're going to get that retrieved. So the field will come round and just get gridded up in the position. Now it'd be... Next class out is Minimax. Now none of them are in the holding area ready to go, so I don't think we're going to be in a position to bring the field into the pit lane, send the next class out and then get going, because they are only told they need to be in the holding area 2 minutes before the end of the previous race, because that's roughly 5 minutes by the time that you get full track clear up. So red flag will see the field roll round. They will stop on the start line. And I'm not sure whether they'll actually get stopped towards the back end of that rolling up bit. And then we'll get them... What they'll do now is they'll send them forwards in order of grid position, and they'll manage to retake the positions. There's Miles Roby's kart now. The rear bumper is hanging off that. So if he can roll that into pit lane and then get that rear bumper popped back in, he might have an opportunity of getting this back out. But if he rolls past the back of the pack... then if he rolls onto the back of the pack, then he's going to struggle. He needs to be aware that there's a rear bumper hanging off that kart, and if he comes into pit lane, he may well be able to get back out for the final, but if he gets gridded up, they'll drag him straight in. I think he's going to grid up off the back, is he, or is he going to pop into pit lane? I think he's going to pop into pit lane, so great awareness there from Miles Roby. Now we're going to have a few people running to try and get that rear bumper fixed. In fact, I can see one or two of them already going. They can get that rear bumper fixed and get him back out. Miles Roby's got a decent chance of taking this final, because as they're gridding up, he's in P20. So he's going to go off the outside of the front, off the row number 10. So the field there being held, and then what they'll do is they'll just send them forwards in their twos, in their grid positions, into where they're going to sit through into, and they'll sit in their grid berth, almost as if it's a standing start. Now, because the red flag has come out, if any of these drivers on the rolling up lap have incurred anything like a front fairing penalty where the nose is pushed in, because the red flag has come out and this will be a complete restart to the race, they will be able to reset that front fairing. So nobody will be penalised for anything that's happened, because effectively the first rolling up lap and the start never happened at all. It's going to be scrubbed completely from the history books. And we'll just roll in as speaking to the driver in the number 4 there was the gentleman that was in the commentary box with me about 15 minutes ago, Bradley Shepherd, just down there with Lewis Goff at the front of it. So Goff with the Sam Pollitt Racing colours and the Sam Pollitt Racing suit this weekend, running with BSR here at Clay Pigeon. He raced down here last weekend in another series, and they've stayed down for the week, and they've decided to race this weekend as well here at Clay Pigeon. So they're racing out of the BSR awning, the same awning that his cousin Alex Lynn will be racing out of. We'll see him in around about 20 minutes time when Minimax gets their final underway. So we'll just get this re-gridded up. So Kasper Tomilewski will roll in. Ben Horner there on the left hand side in the white kart with the yellow flicks on it. The number 12 was the driver that was struggling to get out, and he's going to roll into position, and he should be able to take his place on the second row here alongside Kasper Tomilewski. There he is, the next driver to come in, and he will indeed roll that kart in the white, yellow and blue colours into 4th place. So a reprieve almost given there to Ben Horner. It now sees him roll in. Some of the drivers just trying to get heat into their tyres, which does seem a little bit, I'll be honest, it seems pointless, because what's going to happen now is they're all going to sit there for about another 5 or 6 minutes whilst everybody else gets gridded into the right position, and their tyres will be stone cold before we start. We've got some tyres being dragged over. I don't know whether that barrier's taken a bit of a whack down there, and now we're just going to need to put a tyre in front of in front of something. I don't know whether the kart going nose in has just nudged the bottom part, but we'll see whether we're going to put some tyres in place down there. Now, looking on the pit exit there, you can see just there the tyres are just going to be put in place there where that barrier's just taken a bit. So Marshall's just popping some tyres in place there of that where that barrier is. That's why we had the red flag. Miles Roby was up and out the kart and good to go. And the 25 of Kieran Thompson looks like he's ready to roll back out of the pit lane. He's on the exit of pit lane, so he's going to be able to rejoin this race. He was due to roll off. Let's have a quick look off the outside of row number 12 in P24. So when we're looking for drivers on row number 12, there'll be one of them in the position. There's the 28 of James Waring, just having looks like a GoPro fitted to his kart by one of our Driven Dreams cameramen. So that's your field just rolling in now. We've still got around about half of them to slot in. Just going back into the live chat. Sunbather's been on saying have a good race, Callum Foster, and Lucas Blanford's been on saying good luck to Lewis Goff as well. Goff will go off pole position. Foster will go off row number 3 in what will be 5th place inside of row 3 for Callum Foster. And we were speaking earlier about BSR, and had a message earlier from Simon Price, the dad of one of their usual drivers, Larry Price, just wanting to wish all of the BSR drivers good luck. So we'll see a few more of those before the end of the day, running out of that BSR awning. We've got Leighton Kelly and Alex Lynn as well later on that are still running out of that awning. So drivers just being rolled into position. We've got a few more to come and then we should be able to go. The 25 of Kieran Thompson is still waiting to come out. If he takes his correct grid position, he will be in P24 on the outside of row number 12, but I don't know whether he'll just roll onto the back of this pack or not. And then I'm trying to keep an eye out to see whether Miles Roby has got himself back out onto the grid as well. Haven't seen him take his position during this regridding format, but the 25 of Kieran Thompson is in the pit exit and not in his normal grid slot of P24 on the outside of row number 12. So not sure whether, it looks like there's a bit of a discussion going on down there as to whether it's to do with that. Miles Roby is there as well, just in the background. I think they've got 2 carts gridded up ready to come out, but not sure whether they are going to get slotted into their original grid positions. Now this is a complete restart, so I'd be surprised if they weren't allowed to slot into their original grid positions, because it's not like we're going to restart them and go back a lap from the red flag, but they're currently being held in the exit of the pit lane, having both of them come into pit lane and had some work done to their carts. So still got mechanics on the grid, so I don't think we're going to be going racing anytime too soon. But discussion still, well, not going on quite as much, but I don't know whether we're going to now need to move some carts back to slot some others in. So they're the 2 carts that we were talking about earlier, the Miles Roby kart and the Kieran Thompson one, that are currently just down there in pit lane. Still a plethora of people. There doesn't seem to be too much activity going on. There just seems to be a lot of people milling around. There's Miles Roby's 55 still having A little bit of work done to the rear bumper on that kart. Just having a quick look, and the reason why I was surprised that the two karts that are that are still being held down there in the dummy grid is it says in the regulation, it says any race stop before the leader has completed 2 laps will be declared null and void. The race will be run in its entirety. All available karts will restart from their original grid positions, and the grid may be closed up for any karts missing. So whether the karts that have rolled into the pit lanes were deemed as missing, I'm not quite sure. But in any case, we have got and also, as we mentioned earlier on, front fairings may be reset without penalty on the grid, which we've seen maybe 1 or 2 do after that rolling up lap. So feel that the mechanics have now left. We have got only karts on the grid with the exception of our race director. And they're making their way off the track. So field is being sent on its way. Now we'll get 1 full rolling up lap before Kieran Thompson and Miles Roby roll out onto the back of the grid. Track is very, very dry now, with the exception of a few pieces of tarmac offline, so there may well still be the odd slippy corner. So, where was the sausage dogs when I had to fill for 10 minutes while the grid was there? Well, nobody was actively trying to seek out dogs for the last 10 minutes while there was nothing happening, and then just as something starts to happen, we've found cute dogs. I mean, yeah, I'm fuming. Junior Rotax then rolling themselves round into position. They're in the tram lines. Goff on the left, Wise on the right. Can we get this one underway? Through we go, and it looks like we are away in racing in Junior Rotax. Goff steals the march on Ollie Wise, and Ben Horner sweeps round the outside of Kasper Tomilewski. He's up into 3rd place as they sort themselves into single file, with the exception of a few towards the tail end of the field. And Ben Horner is trying a move down the inside of Ollie Wise. Then Horner realises, I think, that he'd had a little bit too much of a nudge, and then waves Ollie Wise back into position. That's very wise from Ben Horner. At the front though, Lewis Goff has taken advantage of that. He's going to start to move away and see whether anybody else can try and close in on the 2022 Mini-Max champion here in the Junior Kart Championship. Goff then leads from Ollie Wise and Ben Horner. Warning for Ben Horner, but Ben Horner knew about that because he waved Ollie Wise back through earlier on. But nonetheless, he's still going to be formally advised of that. Horner then up into 3rd place. Tomilewski in P4. Callum Foster and Ollie Naylor round out your top 6 in front of Harry Hurstgrover, Emily Cooper, Marcel Poppercull and Christian Stefanovs, with Amalie Ackett and James Waring up inside the top 12 in front of Garrett, Wright and Owen, rounding out the top 15. Over the line they come. No real changes, at least in the top few. Emily Cooper with a big move in terms of positions on that opening lap. She is up from P12 into P8. It's Christian Stefanovs and Marcel Poppercull. Good start for Emily Cooper. Got a bit of a gap though now to close in on Harry Hurstgrover, but clear tarmac in front of the driver of the 30. There's across the line, 2 minutes into this 12-minute final on a track that is now very, very dry. Amalie Ackett in the 11 is off, heading down towards Marshall Post 3. So that's going to be off the track just as they head down towards the hairpin. She is clear. There's no yellow flag out though. She's safe. The kart is just to the side of the track. You'll just about catch it to the left side there. It's right in the middle of the grass, so no need to be covered under yellow. There's a stationary out at post 5 though. We've got a driver off down at the far end. Yellow, waved yellow at the bottom bend, and then a green flag over start finish. So it looks like we could have a driver off just outside the shot of our camera down at the bottom bend. We'll keep an eye out on numbers, but it could well be Jacob Anslow who hasn't crossed the line. Ben Horner with the fastest lap in 3rd place. Amelie Eckets, of course, having retired as well. Disappointment for her, because so far this weekend she's been fantastic, running up inside the top 10, as high as she has all season for Amelie Eckets, and disappointment in the final for her. But Lewis Goff leads from Ollie Wise, although Wise sets the fastest lap of the race this time round and takes 0.2 of a second out of Lewis Goff, with Ben Horner and Kasper Tomilewski in 4th place, doing what he needs to do to be crowned the champion in the JKC Junior Rotax class for 2023, with a round to spare as it stands at the moment, unless Sam Stoner can start making his way through. He's currently in 20th place at the moment, which means that Tomilewski will have this one quite comfortable. Tomilewski, though, has just got to keep himself out of trouble. Head down towards the hairpin. Wise has closed in once again on to the back of Lewis Goff. Just having a quick look at the weather for the rest of this race weekend, with minis and iArmy to go. I think we've got about an hour or so before we've got any potential for rain, so we should get this race day clear now in full slick conditions. Another fastest lap for Ollie Wise as he starts to head down towards the high 34s. 0.2 of a second off the back of Lewis Goff. Emily Cooper then up into 7th place now, in front of Harry Hurst-Grover, who in turns in front of Christian Stefanovs and Marcel Poppercull. They're making their way round. That Stefanovs in the multicoloured machine, number 17. Just on the back of Harry Hurst-Grover, and Hurst-Grover goes slightly wide round the right-hand bend, and that's going to allow Christian Stefanovs to come through. So Hurst-Grover goes slightly wide. Ollie Naylor running in P5, as Ollie Wise puts in another fastest lap, closes another fraction up onto the back of Lewis Goff. Hurst-Grover with a bit of snap on there, and then going to have to defend off Marcel Poppercull to the right-hand hairpin before the horseshoe on the left. Hurst-Grover, the back of that cart at the moment, seems a little bit skittish. Seems to be just struggling to get the power down as he applies it in the run out of the corner. As you can see, as they come through there, that is Marcel Poppercull through all the way around the outside of Harry Hurst-Grover. So, as we mentioned, that Hurst-Grover struggling to get the power down. Looks like the tyres are not quite up to the temperature he wants, and the cart's sliding as he puts the power down. And Emily Cooper now right up onto the back of Callum Foster. And Cooper get herself inside the top 6. Goff still leads, although once again Wise was a little bit closer. Tomilewski is up into 3rd place in front of Ben Horner. Yellow stationary yellow out at the chicane, which means we could have a driver off at the hairpin. We do have a driver off down at the hairpin, and that's James Waring. Off at the hairpin, waved yellow flags are going to be out. That cart's going to take a while to recover as well. It's right up against the tyres. Waring is out of the cart and he's okay. But James Waring will drop all the way down the order into, well, he's 28th and he's out the cart, so that he's not going anywhere anytime soon. Waved yellows with 5 minutes and 18 seconds. The cart is just in front of the tyres. They're not quite as easy to move, the junior Rotaxers, as Emily Cooper is forced wide by Christian Stefanovs just before the stationary yellow, so they should be good, and the Battenberg flag is out to recover the cart of James Kell. So the race will be nullified with 5 minutes to go, and they will queue up behind your race leader, Lewis Goff. So Battenberg flag is out. This is not over yet. Goff will lead the field round. The pace will slow behind Lewis Goff, the race leader, as they recover the kart of James Kell from down at the hairpin. Battenberg is out. Going to have to try and just slow this one down now. And because the field had spread out quite a lot now, it's going to take a while actually for them to close this up behind Lewis Goff, because we've still got parts of the field still not quite into position. Hurst Grover's dropped right down. He's going to come through in P10. It could even be slightly further. So through they come over the start-finish line, still under Battenberg. And we've still got parts of the field making their way through the horseshoe in the middle of the pack. So the chances of them actually catching the leaders are going to be quite difficult. Although having said that, Goff has slowed them right down to try and aid the rest of the field closing up on the back. So may well have enough time for them to close up before they come round this time. We could go racing if everybody is in position. Goff is backing them all up, which is his job. Doesn't want to go too slowly because risk of oiling the plug up, but doing what he needs to do and doing exactly what the race director will want, which is slowing the field down to a nice safe pace to allow the marshals to do their work, which looks like has been done. So we could well go racing this time round. Keep an eye on the start line as they come through to see whether we get a green flag this time round. Battenberg flag is still out. Looks like the field were expecting that race to get going. And we've still got the Battenberg flag out as they come round. So field will then once again be slowed down. I think the field thought when they'd gone round that bottom hairpin and seen that the incident had been dealt with, that they would go racing the next time round. That's why everybody had increased their pace. The pace will now slow back down and we will have another go at this. 2 minutes to go on the timing, which will be around about 1.5 by the time they come through. Will we get going this time round? Single file, they're being told. I think we are going this time. And they come over start finish and we go green with 1 minute and 37 seconds on the clock here in Junior Rotax. The top four have managed to steal a march as we've got drivers 3 and 4 wide in the middle of Billy's Bend. Lewis Goff leads from Ollie Wise, Kasper Tomilewski and Ben Horner. The top four have managed to bolt away from Ollie Naylor and Callum Foster, Christian Stefanovs and Emily Cooper. Marcel Poppercull in the background. We've got a driver going slightly wide. Looks like that was Molly Pugh in the pink helmet. Now she's going to get hung out on the outside. 1 minute remaining on the clock. They'll get round before the next time. 3 laps to go in Junior Rotax, and Lewis Goff has a gap of 0.3 of a second. Went well at the start of this one, and this could well be the case that Ollie Wise closed him in once the tyres were up to full operating temperature, but now they've had a chance to cool back down, and Goff could well be able to just pull away based on the fact that his tyres are going to come up to temperature a little bit quicker based on where he's had them tyres set, and Ollie Wise may well have to close in on that final lap. They'll cross the line in a few moments' time with 30 seconds to go. Next time round, they will see the last lap board. 2 laps to go in Junior Rotax. Lewis Goff, Ollie Wise, Kasper Tomilewski doesn't need to get involved. He just needs to follow them round for 3rd place in the 2023 Championship in Junior Rotax. He just needs to enjoy these final 2 laps because Ben Horner's not close enough to spring a challenge on Kasper Tomilewski. It could well be 3rd place, but in the bigger picture, it's all about the championship standings, and Tomilewski's got one hand and pretty much everything else on that championship trophy already. Over the start line they come. for what will be the final time before they see the checkered flag. Lewis Goff, Ollie Wise is closing in now. The tyres are up to temperature. Wise, could he be close enough? Goff with a look over the shoulder. He doesn't think so as they head down towards the hairpin, but he's gone slightly more defensive. Can Wise make a move into the left-hander of the horseshoe? Lewis Goff, 2 corners to go. Round the right hand, heading up towards the final bend. Will Goff go tight? Into the final bend they go. They run towards the start-finish line. Lewis Goff, who won the Minimax Championship last year, returns to the championship and wins in junior Rotax from Ollie Wise. Tomaszewski's third and he's your champion for 2023 in front of Ben Horner, Ollie Naylor, Christian Stefanovs, Marcel Poppercull, Emily Cooper, Archie Dyson and Callum Foster. Rounding out your top 10, Ewan Stevenson is off on the final lap in the 57. He's trying to drag the kart back onto the track. But he is off down there on the outside of the first corner and he's just trying to get it going. But junior Rotax, we had 2 real races there. The first one and then that final 2-minute shootout to the checkered flag. And Lewis Goff takes victory in the number 4 machine. The returning Minimax champion takes victory in junior Rotax from Ollie Wise. And Kasper Tomaszewski does enough in P3 to be crowned the 2023 junior Rotax champion in the JKC with a round to spare for Kasper Tomaszewski in front of Ben Horner and Ollie Naylor, rounding out your top 5 here at Clay Pigeon.